focus.
Am I in focus?
Avoid legal snags by telling people they're being recorded. You're being recorded, so don't sue me.
So it looks clear, right?
Yeah, you look fine. Oh,
Okay.
There's the world. There's the curve of the world down below, sort of upside down. Or you're showing the bottom of the world.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, should I start?
Go for it.
Okay. Okay. I'm in outer space on June 22nd, 2020 with Venerable Panabasa Mahathir. Has been a monk for 29 years. He lives near Stockton, California. Welcome back to the show, Venerable Panabasa.
Yeah, hail Brian.
I want to ask you a karma question this time. About the law of karma, why we can't wake up normies in our society. It's tiresome to keep fighting injustice and speaking out to warn people that they're being lied to by their society. But the law of karma means that we deserve this world that we've been born into. It's our karma that we're born here. We're not in a heavenly realm, so we're here with all this injustice. So my question is, from a Buddhist worldview, how much should we just accept and how much should we try to push back? Like, what is the wisest way to live with all the lies surrounding those we care about? I think of the ones I really care about, the normies in my life. I try to convince them about how the world works. So I think maybe I should just put it out of my mind and talk to somebody else,
Yeah. Well, I mean, from the point of view of karma, then, whatever we experience, like whatever sensations, like the Vedana, whatever kind of Vedanas or feelings that come up, that's the result of karma. And we can't really do much about that. That's just the result of what we've done in the past, including presumably past lives. And so from the Buddhist point of view, the whole idea of justice, I mean, like, the universe is just automatically just. There is a kind of cosmic justice where everybody gets what they deserve. And if it doesn't seem like they deserve it, like little kids who are abused or something like that, who didn't do anything wrong, then from the Buddhist point of view, it depends upon rebirth, past lives. And also, to some degree, you can say that we're kind of creating our own world by the power of our own mind, sort of like we're dreaming, except at a higher level of dreaming. And some people, even though they're good people, because they lack wisdom, they're going to have bad dreams. They're going to make bad dreams for themselves. And so in a way, it's just sort of like not being able to fully control the reality you're in because you're not fully enlightened yet, or some such thing. Even though if you're fully enlightened, you're not going to be controlling things either. But still, I mean, you're going to have better dreams if you're wise than if you're foolish, kind of a thing. So there's that, but still, I mean, it doesn't mean that you just adopt fatalism, where whatever happens to you, you just accept that's just the way it's supposed to be. Like, you're driving your car, you get a flat tire. You don't just pull over to the side of the road and say, well, I'm supposed to have this flat tire because that's my karma, and so I'll just leave the car here by the side of the road. You get out and you fix the tire, right? I mean, and you're not against the flat tire. I mean, it's not like a wise person. They just accept, okay, the tire is flat, so now the appropriate thing to do is to get out and change the tire. And there's no anger or you're not against the flat tire or against the world or anything. It's just you accept that the tire is flat, and then you accept that the thing to do now is to fix the tire. So there's no necessary againstness at all. I mean, you can fix the situation, you can work to improve a situation, or even work against a bad situation without necessarily having like anger and ill will and hate. I mean, just it's like I've read that the way karma works is you don't get peace by hating war. You get peace by loving peace. So by hating war, you're still increasing hatred and ill will and that sort of thing, which is more bad karma, and bad karma creates more bad stuff. Whereas if you want things to get better, you try to have a healthy mental state, and like a feminist, if she's a feminist because she hates men, then she's not going to improve anything. She's just going to make stuff worse because she's got like hatred and anger and ill will as a kind of motive, and that's the karma she's creating. But if she's a feminist because she loves women and not just because she's a lesbian, but because she really wants women to have better lives and all that, then she might actually accomplish something good and wind up with feminism being better than it has been.
Yeah, I didn't want to get you started with social justice warriors. You're talking about the law of karma, that the universe is fair. It is just with all the inequalities between people because of all of our past life karma. Tell that to the social justice warriors. They would.
Yeah. I mean, it's like in Buddhism, some people are born beautiful and some people are born ugly and some people are born smart and some people are born stupid and some people are born wise. You know, you got wise little kids. Some people are born foolish and it's healthy and sickly, and there's all these variations, and it's because of karma, the way people are born. And so, I mean, you ask a social justice warrior, I mean, is that just? I mean, that would be interesting. I've considered that before. There's like some neo-Marxist is blabbing.
Let's get him on the show, you and me. Let's find a neo-Marxist, get him on the show with the three of us. That would be great. That would be great fun.
They're blabbing away about it's not just that, you know, the blacks don't make as much money as the whites. They won't say the East Asians who make even more money because that doesn't fit the whole propaganda thing. But, you know, they say that's not just. But then you can ask, I would be interesting to ask like a cultural Marxist. I mean, is it just that some people are born intelligent and some people are born stupid, or some people are born healthy and other people are born sickly?
Yeah.
I mean, is that just?
Yeah, I'd like to ask the social justice warrior about that. Is birth just? Well, if you're white, you're born into white privilege, so that's not just.
Well, I think a lot of cultural Marxists, maybe even most of them, would say it's not fair or just that some people are born rich and some people are born poor. Although from the Buddhist point of view, I mean, it's your own karma. You're being rewarded for good things you've done, like you've been generous in past lives or something, that you get born into a rich family.
And some people have mixed karma. They get born into a rich family, but because they're rich, they spend it on drugs and women and alcohol, and they destroy their lives. So
or they just live a completely superficial, spiritually bankrupt existence. So they're spending their merit, and they're not making much new merit in that sort of a scenario.
I know. Well, I guess what prompted my question is amongst my friends and so many people who leave comments in the truth movement, they're talking about their own family. So many people have their own family. They're just leftists. They believe what they see on TV, and we've unplugged the TV 10 years ago. We're trying to tell them about this, about the Federal Reserve, about globalism, and they just don't listen. They think we're the conspiracy theorists, we're the crazy people, and we're dangerous. So many people experience that. That's what motivated my question. Should we just accept them and just let them be? We'll just carry on and talk to people that we work with.
Oh man, it looks like you've got some kind of purple energy field around you now.
Wow.
It's kind of science fiction-y looking. Which
I got to be modest about my purple energy field around me.
Yeah. Actually, that was kind of distracting me because now you've got like these sort of blue-purple lines across your face now.
Woo! Hey, do you still see my logo if I move my hand?
Yeah, when you move your hand, I do, yeah.
See now?
Yeah.
Okay, I admit I'm not in outer space. I'm in my bedroom. See, when my roommate's around, I get out of my living room, I move to my bedroom. So I'm actually a mere human being like the viewers.
Yeah, okay. And the energy field has subsided now, so I guess you're okay. So I guess you're going to have to ask me again because I was completely distracted by the purple lines across your face.
Yeah, I was saying myself and so many people in the truth movement have the frustration of their closest family members won't listen because they believe what they see in the media. And, you know, we know more about how the world really works, and they're drinking the Kool-Aid. And so should we just accept them and not try to convince them, but just love them as they are?
You do the best you can, you know, and then that also is karma. I mean, if you're with people that are going to believe ridiculous stuff or just, you know, kind of follow along with the majority, just be completely blue-pilled. I mean, that's your karma too, you know. It's just what the situation you're in. And it may be that because of bad karma, people are just going to refuse to believe even the most important stuff that you say, you know, sort of like the Cassandra complex or whatever. So there is that. But I mean, yeah, I mean, um, so long as you have good motives, then anything you do is going to be good, even if there's no obvious result. I mean, every action has its results, and actions that have good motives are going to have good results, even if it's not obvious or it's not going to be immediately happening. But I mean, every action leaves its trace. What we are now is the result of all of our actions in the past, and what we are going to be in the future is the result of all of our actions, in the past and now. So yeah, you just have to do the best you can and try to have like good mental states when you're doing it. I mean, if you're um, trying to convert normies to your point of view, then obviously you should do it out of compassion and just a desire for their benefit, and not just out of being pissed off at their being so stupid, or pissed off at the whole system, or whatever. And another thing that I've found in my own life is the best way to influence people is just accidentally, just by setting an example. And one good thing to do, I mean, if you're trying to persuade somebody, or you're debating with somebody, then I mean, if you're like pissed off and miserable looking, then people are going to pick up on that. Like, I remember when I was young, there used to be these public service announcements against drugs, like Nancy Reagan, just say no to drugs kind of stuff. And I remember there was this one public service announcement where there was this guy. He looked like the stereotypical high school football coach, just sort of this sort of burly looking white guy, looking kind of tough. And it was the standard. You probably saw this too. It's like, he holds up an egg, and this is your brain. And then he cracks it on the skillet, and it's all sizzling. And he's like, this is your brain on drugs. And then he looks at he looks at the camera with this withering, kind of indignant, pissed off kind of look on his face. And any questions? And I remember when I'd watched that, and I was like a long-haired, dope-smoking, cosmic cowboy at the time, I'd say, yeah, man, I got a question. If I stopped taking drugs, will I be as happy as you? Because the guy just did not look happy, And if you want people to follow your philosophy or for whatever, and it's obviously making you a miserable, screwed up mess, then why the hell should they? Like,
yeah, we all learn at the school of example.
Hysterical idiots howling in the streets. I mean, why should anybody follow along with their point of view unless it's just out of fear of being attacked by them next?
Yeah.
I mean, because they're not happy people. They're messed up people. They don't even know how to be happy. They just want to blame Whitey or blame Trump or whatever for the fact that they're miserable.
Yeah.
But it's not Trump's fault, and it's not Whitey's fault. It's your own fault. I mean, if you're happy or unhappy, it's first and foremost a matter of your own attitude. So that's the best way to help people. First of all, just set a good example. I mean, if you're calm and you're obviously relatively peaceful, and you kind of got your act together for yourself, then without even trying, people will be influenced by that. Because like the way that I've helped people most as a monk, like helping other monks, hasn't been because I've been on their case like preaching at them. It's just that I've just been doing my thing. Like, I was living at this big school monastery near Mandalay, and there was a big dining hall there, and people would come and offer food to the monks every day, but I never went there once. I never set foot inside that dining hall. I'd just take my bowl and walk to a nearby village and just get my food that way, go for alms round. And I didn't, I was just doing it because I felt like doing it. I just didn't want to go to the dining hall. And I didn't know that other monks were watching me. And then every once in a while, some young monk would come up to me and thank me, saying that I had inspired him to do the same thing, and he felt really good about himself for following the ancient ways and this
good,
kind of stuff.
yeah.
And I wasn't trying to persuade anybody. I was just trying to be true to my own vision, or true to myself.
I walked like 1.5 kilometers myself when I was a monk. I maybe went to the dining hall once or twice, but it felt weird to do that. I always walked as well.
Yeah. So that's really the best way to like convert people to your point of view, is just obviously to set a good example, and not be a screwed up mess, just always just ranting and cussing at people and this kind of thing. Like, some people in the like comment sections, they just like attack, and they're like angry and spiteful and hateful, and it just makes them look bad, and it makes their cause look bad. So I mean, if you want to help your cause, then at the very least you should try to have a rational discussion. I mean, you don't have to like be kissing anybody's ass or anything, but at least you should just remain calm and address the issue instead of just calling people names and that kind of stuff. I mean,
I
that's
remember years ago, Ajahn Sona would teach me, we learn at the school of an example and at no other.
Yeah, mainly. Definitely. So that would be my best advice with regard to karma or anything, just with regard to trying to red pill normies.
Yeah, so when we're arguing with our family, we won't argue. We'll just drop a few seeds and be calm and listen to them and be nice to them, and maybe they'll look at our calm composure and our good example.
Yeah, and if they're your family, I mean, you should love them, and even though they might believe ridiculous stuff, then
yeah,
still, I mean, you love them anyway. Because I mean, politics, it's important, especially nowadays, because really we're really hitting the end of the cycle now, or approaching the end of the cycle anyway.
Could be, yeah.
So yeah,
future's uncertain, but it said.
But yeah, it just makes sense to kind of keep it positive as much as possible. And if somebody's just really being nasty with you, and you're good at this, like standing on street corners and people freaking out at you, just remain calm and just try to remain reasonable and answer. Even if they're just like yelling a question at you, you can still calmly answer the question in a reasonable way. And even if it doesn't help them, it can help like 2 or 3 people who are watching what's going on.
Yeah.
Because that's another advantage of, like, if you're trying to talk sense to normies, then usually you've got a snowball's chance in hell of converting the normie you're talking to, but there still might be other people who are like reading the comments or listening to the conversation.
Yeah, especially if it's on video and thousands of people watching that video, right?
Yeah.
Like recently we did 12 protests. I've videos of protests. Often I'm talking to normie, but the problem is one of our own people will get into an argument with them and start yelling at them. It looks really bad. It's opposite of what I'm trying to do.
And then there's the whole political dilemma that we talked about in the past of that intolerance actually works. But I think with regard to that, the intolerance should just be like intolerance of action, where you're just going to move ahead and do what you think is right and just insist upon freedom, or insist upon freedom of thought, freedom of expression, and just refuse to cooperate. That kind of intolerance, that could be beneficial. But like howling at people, just howling like gibbons among the flames after you burn down a city or something, it
doesn't look good on the video.
It has worked. Side. I mean, like the Bolsheviks did that, and they wound up winning and created the Soviet Union, but it wasn't a good situation. Yeah, it wasn't a good situation. Like bad actions create a bad situation. And like these neo-Marxists with their hysterical yowling and all this, they couldn't possibly create a better situation than the situation we've already got. It would just get worse because it's based on just hatred. And I mean, they might have love for their own ideology and love for the people that agree with them 100%, not 99%, but 100%. They'll love that person.
They'll throw them under the bus if it's only 97%.
Yeah, or they'll love black people in general just because they're told to love black people in general, just because that's what they're the
like these young white women that date black guys and have half black babies and half white babies.
Yeah, but I mean, the thing is, it's like bad mental states create bad reality in the external world, and good mental states create a better reality anyway than what you've already got. So, yeah, and it's like the founding fathers of the United States. I mean, you're not in the United States, but the founding fathers of the United States, they were philosophical, intelligent, reasonable people that had good intentions, even though, they lived in an age where slavery was pretty much all over the world. Even though, the brainwashed left doesn't realize that. They just think that America invented slaves or something.
Well, the white people invented slavery, even though we know the slave industry was Jewish, and even on Sabbath days, the slave industry would shut down on Sabbath for the Jews. Yeah, it was a Jewish industry, but Hollywood tells us it was a white industry.
Well, it wasn't just Jewish. The Arabs were doing a lot of slave selling.
That too.
Yeah, the Muslims were doing a lot of slave selling.
White slaves,
blacks,
over 1 million
blacks were enslaving each other in Africa for who knows how many thousands of years. It's just, slaves everywhere. Just every culture had slaves pretty much. But of course, that doesn't fit the the hysterical ideology. So they just got to pound away at hating America and all this. And any kind of, I mean, if you base it on hate, I mean, it can be successful strategically, like in the short term, but still, it's going to have it's going to be sowing the seeds of big problems in the future.
Yeah, I think how the left eat their own. Like Lenin was shot. Trotsky was toppled by Stalin. Stalin assassinates Trotsky, and then Stalin was assassinated by poisoning in 1953 by the on Purim Day. So yeah, they ended up biting themselves, eating their own.
Yeah, or like what China is doing now. That's my belief in karma kind of has me believing that China really is just kind of dooming itself because it's so amoral. It does such really awful stuff that the left doesn't really want to talk about, like the taking Falun Gong practitioners and making them into political prisoners and then harvesting their organs and this kind of shit.
Yeah. But
I mean,
Chinese
that's really
remind me
bad stuff.
It's a Chinese Communist Party, but the Chinese people are pretty good people, good family values. People are good.
Yeah. They're just pretty much slaves now. They are enslaved. They are slaves to the Communist Party.
Yeah, 1.4 billion people enslaved by a handful of the Chinese Communist Party.
Yeah, that's essentially it. The Chinese people are slaves. But I mean, the left can't say that, and yeah, just trying to have as open, as philosophical, as calm, reasonable, more or less positive attitude, then I mean, like, you're talking about conspiracy theories, then I mean, if you love what you're talking about, then that's a positive state, which is going to help. And instead of you're just hating the other guy, you're just talking against somebody or something like that, then yeah, that's just going to make things worse in the long run. Even if there's short-term success, you're just planting the seeds of this future, fiascos by having actions that are motivated by like hatred and hostility and this kind of stuff. I mean, it can work in the short term, but sooner or later you got to calm down and try to be positive and try to improve things instead of just burn shit to the ground.
That's good advice for me, just to be cheerful next time I'm talking to family or normies. When I feel that frustration come up in my mind, just sort of cheer up about it and be accepting and maybe listen and just set a good example. I teach by example. Be nice.
Yeah, but then again, the occasional animated rant can be damned entertaining. I like watching rants.
Yeah, maybe it's educational, Let them rant too, of course. Be a good listener.
Like some of my favorite videos, like Styx Hexenhammer. I mean, my favorite ones are the ones where they're really getting riled up and starting to really rant good. Like he's had extra coffee that day or something.
He's alone. He doesn't have many guests, right?
He started doing something with Ramsey Paul or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
But mostly he just sits. He doesn't do any, or he does very few interviews. He just sits in his living room or wherever and.
So he studies current events, he gets his ideas together, and then he just rants away, gives a talk?
Yeah, and he's upbeat. I prefer upbeat. I mean, like
hey,
Black
Pills. I've got a leather jacket. Maybe I should take off my shirt, have no shirt on, put on my leather jacket, and do a Styx Hexenhammer.
Yeah, grow your hair a bit longer, I suppose.
Oh, yeah. It's going to take some time.
Black pilling is, I just don't see the point of black pilling. Just pessimism, we're already fucked, that kind of stuff. I mean, it's just a guarantee of failure. I mean, defeatism is like, I mean, the only real guarantee you have of failure is just giving up. That's your only absolute guarantee of failure, is when you just quit. And that's
I think it's really true that we're not necessarily going to lose. It's really true that we do have a chance. We're still in the ring. We're still fighting. We still have some freedom.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, consider like the ancient Romans. I mean, they were like at the brink of destruction so many times, and it was just their absolute refusal to give up that caused them to win in the long run. And that's the kind of attitude that is necessary. You just absolutely refuse to give up. No matter how bad it looks, you just keep going. You just keep moving forwards. You just refuse to admit surrender. And then you're going to win because you've got more backbone than the cucks that you're fighting against.
It's a good example for your comrades as well.
Yeah. And if everybody's like that, they just refuse to give up, then you're going to win in the long run. Or either that, or I mean, it could be just you're just completely overwhelmed or something. I mean, that can happen too. But still, I mean, your chances of victory are much, much higher if you just refuse to consider giving up and quitting. And so blackpilling, a lot of the blackpilled videos I've seen it just seems pointless. I mean, it's just counterproductive. Even though they might think that they're being wise and everything, still, I mean, you should have at least something positive included to kind of get people, with like a positive mental state that will actually create something positive instead of just saying everything's fucked and it's just all
Yeah.
down.
That reminds me of John Kaminsky's essays in Florida. He's been really wise for this stuff for 15 or 20 years, but he's kind of black pill, like, we're losing this war. I've been talking about this for years. No one's listening. So if I'm in a really down mood, I'll read John Kaminsky. Like, he's really, really informative and intelligent in his writings, but he's kind of black pill. It's kind of a downer.
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, you can interpret a situation negatively or positively or neutrally or whatever. I mean, you can take exactly the same data and say, well, there you go, we're screwed. Or you can take exactly the same data and say, this is how we can win still. And I mean, there's always possibilities. Even miracles can happen. So just to give up is the only guarantee of failure.
What I often mention in my like public speeches, these protests, is my highest refuge is the law of karma, that we're all born into this lifetime. It was our karma. This world has, a lot of strife and suffering and pain, but it is our karma that we're here, and we have an opportunity to live a virtuous life and go on to a better life after this lifetime, or have a better life in this lifetime. So that's what really gives me hope, that karma is individual. We each individually can have good karma, and we'll personally get out of this, even if the world goes down.
Yeah.
I mean, personally, we can still have a better future. So that should give us cause for optimism and keep moving forward and stay positive.
Yeah, and then there's like the old story of Sodom and Gomorrah in the Old Testament, where God's willing to save the city just for the sake of 10 good men. You got just enough people with enough good karma that it will prevent everything from just going kasplooey, if you believe in karma, that is.
Well, I guess the definition of Buddhist is you have conviction, the Buddhist teachings on karma and rebirth, just those two things. So I definitely believe in karma and rebirth. So for me, that's my real refuge, is the law of karma. I've seen them in my lifetime, law of karma playing out my own lifetime. So I don't blame anybody.
The second noble truth is important too.
Yeah.
Just realizing
the cause
that
of
all
suffering is unwholesome desire.
Well, just any desire, really, any craving.
Yeah.
Yeah. But another thing about the world having lots of troubles and everything, I mean, it's always been that way. It's just, that's the first noble truth of Buddhism, is to exist is to suffer. And there's always going to be troubles and problems and everything. And in a way, we're getting exactly what we need because our karma is unfolding. Our karma is it's like water seeking its own level. We're constantly creating new karma that keeps us unenlightened. But if we just let our karma expend itself, then we'd be in nirvana. So the reason
why we're talk about karma.
The reason why we're not enlightened is we're continually trying to stay unenlightened because of all the new foolishness that we're generating all the time.
Trying to fix things.
But yeah, the way karma works is you get what you need. Because I mean, it's like it's working itself out. All these complications, these knots and tangles that are like in your spirit, they tend to like it's like self-fixing, it just works itself out naturally. And the reason why we just don't just slide right into nirvana is because we're creating like new, silly, foolish karma all the time. But when bad things happen, I mean, the spiritual thing to do is to use that as a way of working on yourself. I mean, when stuff that you hate happens, you're supposed to like watch the hate arising, and you learn how to deal with this thing that bugs you so that it doesn't bug you so much anymore. Or else you learn how to fix the situation or whatever it is. But, everything that happens to us is a kind of lesson, and you can learn from the lesson, or you can just be stupid, and then it'll just keep happening again and again until you finally get it. Sort of like Groundhog Day, the movie Groundhog Day.
Yeah, I saw that.
Keeps happening over and over again until he finally gets it right.
Yeah. It's good we're talking about the law of karma. You're a Buddhist monk, so I think in future talks we should bring up the law of karma when we're ranting on about the leftists. We should always reflect and come back to the law of karma because that's a cheerful thing. It's an upbeat thing, and it's about self-responsibility as well, and it's very realistic law of karma.
Yeah, well, anyone who's in a bad situation, going with the idea of karma, it's your own goddamn fault. So blaming Whitey or blaming anybody else is really kind of a spiritually bankrupt attitude to take. And unless, I mean, if let's say you just can't believe the reincarnation stuff, which is kind of understandable because I mean it's hard to prove anything like that's metaphysical
Yeah,
like
maybe
that.
half the population believes it, something like that.
Well, in America, probably less than that. Or in Europe, they don't believe in much of
I
anything.
think it
other
might
than
even be
materialism.
up to half. I remember Ajahn Sona saying in a survey, 37% of Catholics in the United States believed in previous lives, and it's a heresy in the Catholic Church, Ajahn Sona said. He said this
Yeah.
15 years ago. These lines stick with me, you know, he's such a good teacher.
Yeah. So in a way, I mean, you really want to be a radical with regard to believing in karma. It's just whatever situation you're in is your own doing. I mean, you put yourself there. So blaming other people is just kind of delusional. And if they do anything bad to you, that's also your own karma. They're making their own karma by doing something bad to you, but
Yeah, so just
having it happen to you is your own doing.
yeah,
You know, like somebody punches you in the nose, them punching you in the nose is their new bad karma that they are just making right now.
yeah,
But you
that's
getting
right.
punched in the nose is just the fruition of your own past karma. So that's
Yeah,
actually like a debt that's just been paid off.
it's interesting. On just on Sunday, I was on the leadership committee of our protest number 12 at the art gallery, and this Melania, this Slovakian woman, she's been very pushy at previous demonstrations. She wants to grab the mic and talk, but I said, no, we have 3 speakers already. We're running out of time with 20 minutes left. You can't speak. So she kept pushing 5 times. And I said, no. So then she decided that I'm a globalist. Since I was opposed to her, that makes me globalist. And then she spat on me. So that was her. So what I did is I picked the moment and I spat on her, and then I stared her down, and all these kids were there. Everyone was there. It was being filmed as well. And then I just held my space. I just stood there, and she was ranting on about me, and then she sort of counterclockwise wandered off and left while I maintained my power and maintained the space. So no regrets at all, my point. But I guess that was my karma
Yeah.
that she spat on me.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah, or today somebody in a comment section was accusing me of being a Zionist and a communist, like in the same comment. And it's like,
You a communist?
and a Zionist. Well, actually, I mean, I got no problem with Zionism because I'd rather, you know, the Jews have their own reservation, you know, and just stay there. Because, I mean, if Israel ceased to exist, there'd be millions of Jewish refugees swarming into the United States. So, I mean, fine, I'll be a Zionist for that reason.
Fine.
Yeah. But yeah, just people just calling you. I mean, anything that people call you, I mean, that's just, you know, dumb karma that's working its way out.
Yeah,
And I just thought it was funny. So I told him, this is funny. This is
comments just
this
bounce
kind of
off of
music.
me and you like Teflon now.
Yeah,
They just bounce
every once
off.
in a while, somebody's like really, really snotty and nasty and just, you know, sometimes, you know, it'll kind of irritate me, but
At
yeah, I'm
least
a
on
big boy.
YouTube, you can delete their comments. On BitChute, you can't, but just let them bounce off of you. I've had like 50,000 comments. I've read maybe 30 or 25% of them. Don't have much time for more.
Yeah, plus it seems to me like blocking people is just like cheating or something. But some people are just so nasty and icky. I mean, they just sort of like pollute the comment section. Then yeah, you might as well. But
Hezbollah. It's a Hezbollah, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I take refuge in the law of karma. That causes me to cheer up. Yeah, I think you've answered my question about how to deal with normies, and also it's the middle way. Like the Buddha taught, the middle way. You do what you can, like you said, do what you can, and feel it out, and try to be light and cheerful, and not get in
Yeah,
big
and
arguments with people.
yeah, you shouldn't really insist too much on the outcome. I mean, you're just involved in the process of just, you know, doing the best you can, and you know that's going to have positive effects so long as you have positive motives, and you shouldn't be too dependent on, you know, whether it turns out the way you want it to or not, because a lot of the time it just won't anyway. Got to be realistic.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you're going to be, standing on a soapbox and, preaching about something or other, it should be something that you really feel passionate about and, you have like positive feelings about and that kind of thing. And then that can be contagious and really influence people.
Yeah.
Because like some of the best teachers I had, like when I was a kid, were the people that really were interested in what they were talking about, and they had like this contagious enthusiasm for it. Like that's one reason why I majored in marine biology, is because I had this marine biology teacher in high school who was just really a cool guy and just really was into it, and it was just kind of fun and interesting listening to him talk.
Oh.
And that was like inspiring to me, and so I wound up majoring in marine biology largely.
You're wondering what to do with your life, and he was a good role model, so you just follow that.
Yeah, and it's just he had this contagious enthusiasm. Or like Ram Dass was that way about just Eastern philosophy and Dharma in general. He had this enthusiasm. He obviously loved what he was talking about, and that was more. I mean, that was as much of a factor as the actual words he was saying. Just this feeling of, he was talking about something that was really close to his heart and something that was really beyond just interesting, but just something that, his heart was just full of it.
Yeah, that reminds me of my father. He was interested in Eastern philosophy. When I was 14 years old, he got the family into meditation and these Eastern philosophy books, and I got into the Handbook to Higher Consciousness when I was 17. He was a good influence, and he died on Father's Day. We just had Father's Day on Sunday, so I think of him. So he was my big influence. I have to pay veneration to my father. He gave me my life as well. His picture's right above me here.
Oh, good.
I can show the audience. He's right on my wall here. So this was about his wedding day when he was 25. Can you see that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, 25 years old. Tony Rue.
Cool.
Good dad, too. Good engineer, self-made man. Came from a poor farming family in Holland with 2 acres and 10 kids. And he was a successful engineer, worked hard. Good father, too. Good sense of humor, too.
Yeah, good.
Yeah. Yeah, so anything else on karma and dealing with normies? I appreciate the talk.
Oh, with regard to karma, well, literally, karma just means action. And from a Buddhist point of view, karma is volition or cetana. It's like what Schopenhauer called will. That's essentially what karma is. Most people don't even really understand what karma means. So, yeah, that's what it means. And then just one last thing I would say is that there's one saying in Pali that is like symbolic of equanimity. And that's the statement kammasaka, which means everyone's karma is their own. So everyone's responsible for their own situation in life.
Yes. Good reminder for everyone. Well, thank you kindly very much, Venerable Panabasa. Great talk.
Yeah, you're welcome. That was 38 minutes.
Very good.